the show.
Good morning, everybody. It is another episode of the Bodkins Weekly Sports Wrap Up, the Bodkin Show's Weekly Sports Wrap Up. We are here Wednesday morning. It is a beautiful day right now as we get you all started. We got to first things first before we start talking about the week that was sports. We got to talk about the things that happened this weekend in the old Bodkins Network here. We had a great UFC London pre-show and post-show. Make sure you check those things out. Kenny and Craig joined me as always. We also announced our new show that'll be coming to you this weekend. Our first show, branch off show, to be all UFC all the time. It's called Head Kicks and Haymakers. That'll be streaming live right here on this channel Saturday morning, our UFC 279 pre-show. I think it's UFC 279. UFC 279 pre-show, and then we'll have our post-show, and then every Sunday morning you can catch that show right here as well. Oh, I said UFC 277. Sorry. The numbers always get me. But UFC 277 pre-show will start Saturday morning. Then the UFC 277 post-show will be Sunday morning. Head Kicks and Haymakers. We're debuting our new show this Saturday. Also, you can catch us after that every Sunday morning about 7 o'clock Central Time. Head Kicks and Haymakers will be wrapping up all things that was MMA throughout the whole week. And then we'll always do a pre-show Saturday on the big pay-per-views or maybe even a big fight night like we did with the London card. Also, I was on Let's Talk Sports. Me and JG talked a lot of NBA news and things like that. So if you haven't already, we stream live there most of the weekends as well. So always hit over there, hit the subscribe button, like, comment. You know what to do. And then as well on Monday we had the Buffoon and Bodkin show. It's kind of split up in two because we got lost feed there for a little bit, but that's on their show and my show now. Uh, Everything will soon be streaming. Also, any Bodkin show episode is also on Spotify and Apple Podcast. So make sure you're always head over there, give it a nice little 5-star rating, subscribe. Do what you need to do. So that was this past weekend in my life and all the things. Now let's get into the past things this past week in sports, folks. You know how we do. We always start with the NFL. The NFL's the biggest news coming out of the NFL this week was Kyler Murray on Thursday signed a huge deal. 5 year, $230 million, 105 million guaranteed. Here's where the thing gets tricky. It's reported yesterday that a clause has come out and he has to spend at least 4 hours on his own studying film. That means to me that he doesn't study film, folks. And I'm not saying he is Jamarcus Russell. If you don't know the story about Jamarcus Russell, quick story about Jamarcus. Jamarcus Russell was the number one overall draft pick by the Raiders over a decade ago. But number one pick, they would send him tapes like Jamarcus, here, watch this tape. And then he'd come back and be like, hey, yeah, I watched it. The tapes were empty, folks. He never watched nothing. Kyler Murray, I mean, he's a professional video gamer. He's got a lot on his plate. So I don't think I don't think he was watching film. I think it's more of Mike Vick situation where Michael Vick will tell you he didn't watch hardly any film when he was in Atlanta. He just lived off his pure athleticism. I 100% believe that's what Kyler Murray has done the last 2 to 3 years. And I 100% believe that is why that team has failed in the second half of the season because he is um he's too busy up playing video games. And guess what? Defenses catch on to tendencies and they get better as the season goes uh, because there's more film on you. And he's not watching film on the defenses to know what they're doing. He's just going out there. letting the play develop and hoping that play works instead of dissecting the defense. I mean, the greats dissect defense, folks. The greats watch our film junkies. Peyton Manning could tell you had the biggest head in the world because he knew everything that you were going to do before you did it. Tom Brady, the same way. Aaron Rodgers, same way. And I get that, Kyler Murray, and now they're giving Kyler Murray this 105 million guaranteed, 230 years. Here's the thing on that. For me, they had to at the same time. Like, there's not who are they going to who are they going to turn to? He's their best quarterback. He's the guy that they drafted number one overall. He's probably been their best franchise quarterback that they've had in a long time. They've been searching for a franchise quarterback. He's their only second quarterback they've ever drafted and extended ever. The last guy, Jake the Snake Plummer. So that shows you that how long they've been searching for a quarterback. They've got it wrong several times. They feel like they've got it right. They've extended Cliff Kingsbury. So they're all together, tied at the neck, tied together. This is the boat they're sailing. I'm not buying it. I think they have a heck of a lot of talent on that team. Uh, they Zach Ertz, I mean D Hop when he comes back from suspension, Hollywood Brown, AJ Green. I mean James Conner, that defense, and if Kyler can ever take that next step, maybe I can believe it. But I don't believe in him, and I don't believe in Cliff Kingsbury. They haven't proven anything yet. But to Arizona's point, you have to give Kyler this extension because there's nobody else out there. You know, quarterbacks only there's only a handful of quarterbacks, and only about half of them 30 out of the 32 starters are really, really good. And then there's only about 5 or 6 that are elite. And we're going to find out if Kyler Murray can take that elite step and lead this team. But until proven otherwise, I'm not buying the Arizona Cardinals here. I We'll get into our division stuff probably next week, maybe. But I'm not buying Arizona. I still like the Rams in that division. I think Zona's probably second. Maybe I'd probably have to give them second. I still think the Rams are first, but the Rams, then Arizona, then probably the Cardinal or 49ers. Speaking of the 49ers, that gives us to our next segment here. They've already come out. Jimmy G has they met with Jimmy G and said, "Hey, this is Trey Lance's team. Jimmy G is throwing. Looks like he's going to be ready to go. Where he's going to go is up in the air. If you're a team, though, you're just going to let that ride out. You're not going to try to trade assets for Jimmy G. And here's why: because the 49ers owe him like $30 million, and the 49ers need to cut that money to get to help sign some other players. So." They're going to try to cut Jimmy G. I don't know, unless you're just going to offer like a 6th round pick for Jimmy and then they take it. But why not let them cut him? Maybe you get him at a little cheaper deal, like a prove it year. But the problem is, sorry, the problem is here. Jimmy gets to pick where he goes. So maybe if you're a team like the Seahawks, maybe he doesn't want to go there and you go with Jimmy and you're trying to get Jimmy G. If I'm the Seahawks, that's the first I'm picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, I'm going to offer a 7th round pick for Jimmy." Because if not, it's going to get real uncomfortable there in San Francisco when you say Trey Lance is your guy and then you got Jimmy G as the backup. If Trey struggles, the fans are going to chant for Jimmy G. He's led them to the NFC Championship game, a Super Bowl, was close to a Super Bowl win. Remember, they are winning that Super Bowl against the Chiefs till the Chiefs come back and won. So and that was a close game. I mean, just the fingertips of a George Kittle catch there a couple years ago in that Super Bowl. And as long as Jimmy G's healthy, he's capable. And I promise you this, folks, uh, Jimmy G is better than anything that Seattle's throwing out right now. Also, we got to talk about so that's kind of the quarterback. Jimmy G's the last quarterback to go, and I mean, outside of Seattle, I don't know where he would go. Maybe the Giants. I could see the Giants. I think he's better than Daniel Dimes. I think they could be somewhat of a playoff team. Maybe if Jimmy G goes to the Giants, that would fit. Um, let's see. Are you trying to go through the court? Would a would a Titans fit? I don't really know. I mean, they still have Tannehill. I think Tanny's probably just as good, as Jimmy G. Um, the Colts got theirs. I mean, the Commanders, Wentz, Jimmy G is about the same. I don't think the Browns. I don't think they're going to go to the Browns. Um, I mean, that's it, man. Like it's those two teams. Like it's the Seahawks, pretty much, and the Giants make sense. Um, Off the top of my head, I'd have to really dig into it, but I mean, Jimmy G's probably those are about the only two teams. Other news: Julio Jones signs a 1-year deal to the Bucks. If Julio's got anything left in the tank, that's a nice pickup as he's going to ring chase here with Tom Brady. I thought maybe we'd get Julio in Green Bay, but that deal never came to fruition. But Julio, good veteran wide receiver. If he can stay healthy, I mean, he hasn't stayed healthy in years. If there's anything left in the tank, uh, he could maybe be that Antonio Brown piece. I think that's going to be Russell Gage, but just another nice weapon for Tom Brady if Julio has anything left in the tank. And there's not going to be any pressure for him to have anything to do much. Also, another NFL news here: we got Chris Carson is retiring, former Seattle Seahawk running back. His neck, only 29 years old, retires because of injuries. And how about Joey Burrow? Had appendix surgery yesterday. He'll be freshly back, ready to kill folks on week 1. But Joey's just going to get his appendix taken out and getting ready. Miss a few days of training camp. So hey, that's best time to get your appendix taken out and miss a few days of camp here. We got before we get on with it, we got a quick comment here. So Landez says Jimmy G to Seattle when they cut him. Hold the line, Jimmy. Yeah, I think that's the best fit. I mean, Seattle would probably be if Jimmy goes there, they're going to win hell of a lot more games than they would with Drew Lock and Geno Smith. I'm not saying they'd make the playoffs, but they'd win a lot more games. They'd probably win 6, 7 games more than maybe the 2 or 3 that they're going to have. Kenny says they'll trade him before they ever cut him and let him go to Seattle. Great pickup. If Seattle can get him though, man. Yeah, I think that's the only reason that they wouldn't cut him is because they don't want him to go to sign to Seattle, and they would want to trade for him. Healthy Jimmy gets them as far as Russ did in the playoffs. Well, the thing of it is, Kenny, is that they didn't make the playoffs last year. So, I know Russ got hurt last year as well in the middle of that. So, I do think they would be close to maybe the bottom of the playoffs, fighting for a playoff team, and that's better than being the worst team in the league. Unless they're just trying to blow this whole thing up and trying to get those top picks, but I don't think Pete Carroll's wanting to do a whole full on rebuild. You get Jimmy G, and then I mean, at least that's a band aid for you. At least you're in that middle of contention. I think that's just kind of how I feel about that situation. So we get to the NBA. Not a whole lot in the NBA front here, but the Kevin Durant trade talks are starting to pick up back up again. It seemed like everything was dead. Then it's reported that the Celtics, remember, I said that, folks. I said the Celtics day one. I said if there's a team that needs Kevin Durant that could trade for Kevin Durant and the Brooklyn could get great players from, it would be the Boston Celtics. It's reported that they offered Jalen Brown, White, and a couple picks for KD. The Nets have said, hey, you throw in Marcus Smart and we got a deal. Whoo, man, I just don't know about that. Do you throw in that's breaking up your whole core? A team of Tatum and KD uh, would be nasty. But I mean, the Celtics, we saw them with that core make it all the way to the NBA Finals and had a 3-2 series lead, or was it 3-2 or 2-1 series lead? It was 2-1. Was winning that game, and Steph puts on a performance, and then it's 2-2, and then it's the rest is all history after that. But I mean, that's a deal that's almost worth it. I don't know if I'd want to trade in Marcus Smart. I get the Brooklyn Nets wanting to get that in. Maybe if the Celtics reach out to a third team and get, trade something for, another person, and do a three-team trade here, that's possible. Uh, I mean, Jalen Brown is mad about it. He tweeted, shaking my head. He's tweeted some other things. He's under contract for like 2 more years. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there if he doesn't get traded to Brooklyn. Here's the thing, Jalen, man. Like, you got to understand, you're not getting traded for some bum. You're getting traded for Kevin Durant, who at best, when completely healthy, is one of the top 2 or 3 NBA players in the league. You're getting traded for one of the best guys in the league. Or maybe he just doesn't want to play with Kyrie. I mean, they didn't get along when they played in Boston, so maybe that's a big thing. Kyrie has come out and said he's in Brooklyn no matter, he wants to stay in Brooklyn no matter what, whether it happens. I just don't I just don't know if either one of them deals work. I like Marcus Smart. I've always been a big fan of his. So if I'm Boston, I'd want to keep him, but I mean, it'd be interesting. You're giving two really good players to get a great player. Does that put them any closer losing Smart and Brown and getting KD? They'd have to maybe go get another piece or two. Does that get them any closer to the East? I don't know. Remember, they just beat a KD Kyrie, swept them in the playoffs. So swept them in the first round. So why not keep that team together and keep adding a nice little couple veteran pieces that they've already added? I mean, I'm indifferent on that trade. I could go back and forth on how I feel about that trade. That's only kind of the big news here. We got some comments rolling in before we get into our next segment. So Kenny adds Jay. Oh, here yeah, Kenny's saying Jalen Brown's big man. He is. We talked about that. Uh, Kenny adds, losing the grit and smart. Brown is a very good player. Tatum's elevating. He's going to man the ball more. Uh, yeah, who knows if that works together? I mean, who knows? Like, that's the thing. You just don't know. Kenny adds they have to go get a great a point guard if they make the KD move. Making the move is a win now. Yeah, they do, and I think they still need a point guard because I mean I think if you can move Marcus Smart off the ball decisions, where he's not having to make the decisions. He can just play he's more of a two guard. He's a better two guard than a point guard. Marcus Smart is. So I still, no matter what they do, they would need to get a point guard. I mean, maybe they plug in White as that point guard this year and start him instead. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm still thinking that Durant starts his season in a Brooklyn uniform. Kenny says they still need a point guard. Absolutely, they need a point guard. They do. They'll need a top. They'll need another like a better player. You're right. If they lose Smart for sure. Um, Landa says maybe Kyrie and Katie and Kyrie eat crow and they stay together. I think that's the chances. I think there's a better chance that they stay together than both of them are traded. Landis, I 100% believe that. So we get to our next part, the MLB. Not a whole lot going. Trade deadline coming on. We talked a little bit about the Juan Soto deal. Uh, uh, him turning down that massive 15-year, $475 million contract from the Nationals. He is. It's been stated that that the Nationals are willing to trade him, but who's going to make that? I mean, they're talking it'd be the biggest haul of prospects in all of baseball history to get Juan Soto. There would be no an extension. You just have like 2 years to pretty much convince the guy to stay and offer him his $500 million contract, maybe. There's been quite a few teams. They've talked. I've read that the Cardinals are a good front runner, the Yankees, the Mets. I even heard the Cubs. I don't know. I doubt that happens. But the who's who of baseball is going to be trying to chase that kid. He's 23 years old, has already won a World Series, is a phenomenal baseball player, just playing on a bad team for the Nationals, the worst team. They're looking to trade him because he turned down. I mean, you got to if you're the Nationals. You watch Bryce Harper leave for nothing. You traded Max Scherzer. You broke it down a couple years ago. And now you're left with him, and that's your big prize. And they've tried to get him to stay. When somebody says, hey, if somebody's turning down $450 million, you got to get rid of them because they clearly just don't want to be there. So you can't let him leave. And I get that your asking price is going to be a lot, especially now because he has so much time on his contract. But unless you're an MLB team, you're like, hey man, our window is now. We're going to win now. We're willing to give up pretty much the farm system for this guy, win a World Series, and we'll be okay with that. But the price is going to go down the less the less time he has on that contract. So why not wait? Why not wait till it may not happen. I don't think it's going to happen at the trade deadline. I think if a trade gets something like that happens, it will happen in the off season, and I think two teams would have to get involved in that trade. But I mean, that's a guy. That's a guy, and he's going to break the bank when he's a free agent. I mean, we're already going to see what Judge gets this offseason. So, also a couple other names that could be on the move. My guy Wilson Contreras of the Cubs. He's probably the most realistic best player that's going to get traded. That's the most realistic best player that's going to get traded is going to be Wilson Contreras. Where? Who knows? The Mets, the Giants, maybe are all involved. It seems like the Mets are the front runner. The Astros as well. The reports are it's weird because like nobody's ever questioned Wilson Contreras as a catcher. Now it's being reported teams are worried that he won't mesh well with the new pitching staff on short notice. I can tell you this: Wilson is professional. He'll do his best. He is one of the best young catchers in the game. I'll say he's obviously he. I mean, I know Yachty's still playing, but right now I would say the best National League catcher. I mean, that's why he was in the All Star game. But right now, you would take Wilson Contreras. Still got the bat, still great glove, can control a team. Unfortunately, that would be the last piece of the Cubs building blocks, all traded in the last 2 years. So I might cry here if once he gets traded because I was already crying last year, and this is just going to be it's just going to be a final goodbye. But he looks to be traded. We'll see what happens. The Cubs are going to get a decent size back, I think, for Willie. And then there's even reports that Shohei Ohtani is going to be traded, and it'll be a little less prospects, more than Soto. And I don't think that the Angels are going to pull that trade. Uh, will still be will I don't think the Angels are going to be able to do that trade. I don't think a team's going to offer them prospects. It'll be another if they're going to trade it, it'd be in the off season. Just too much right now. He's going to command too much. If I'm the Angels, you have how are the Angels just never any damn good? Can we ask that question too? I mean, they are they always have the best player in baseball. Mike Trout was the best player in baseball for years. Then Otani is now the best baseball player, and they just never win. They never get to the playoffs. Uh, so, but Otani could be on the move. I mean, that's kind of all the baseball news right now. We'll see. We'll break down the trade deadline when it gets here. We'll have the Bodkins baseball power rankings make its second half performance next week. We'll give those out as well. Before we get into the UFC contact here, we got some more comments from Kenny here. Uh, the winter meeting is the type of deal where GMs are face to face and can really talk about it. Exactly. That's I think that's with Otani and that deal. Otani and Soto. It had to be at the winter meetings. Like those are 3-team type of deals. Um, Contreras has a gun, but commanding and pitching staff is a bit of an overstep. He does have a gun. And he can command. I'm not saying he's Yachty or freaking Molina here, but they can definitely make that deal, or Contreras can definitely come in and still get a pitching staff going. I mean, it's going to be harder on the fly. As anything, it'll be a lot of learning steps, but he definitely you trade for him, he's still going to be your starting catcher. He can play multiple positions. He's done it. Hasn't done it in a while, in a couple years, but he has played first. So I've seen him play in the outfield a time or two, especially when he was coming up. But uh, I mean, he's better than what the Mets and Astros have. I think he'll. What I'm trying to say is he's a professional enough to be able to get him there. He's professional enough and good enough to work with those teams. That's what I'm trying to say here. Kenny's talking about my Cubs here, the deal they made to get the Devil in 01 or whatever to get a ring. And yeah, well, we kind of did it. Uh, Kenny's adding he's starting catcher for sure, but meshing with the pitcher staff is the issue, and worried about which means something. I mean, it's just weird that you never hear that beforehand, right? The Cubs, no Cubs players ever come out or ever pitcher. I haven't heard one pitcher ever say that's Willie's fault or this and that since they left the team. So it's oh, Kenny's talking about the Angels, not Cubs. Yeah. Oh, they won it in what was it, 2002? I think it was when they beat the Giants. So yeah, I see what you're saying. Uh, it made the deal. They're Angels. They didn't make a deal with the devil. God just gave them one and won't let them win another one. Uh, but back to Wilson here. Uh, I mean, no, I haven't ever heard a pitcher ever say a bad thing about the kid. Um, as a Cub, and then once they left the Cubs, there's never been a question of his. Obviously, when he was coming up, obviously those were questions, but that's been a long time now of whether or not he could do it, and he's worked on a lot of things. His pitch framing's never been the great, but he's worked on it and it's improved. So that just goes to show you that the guy is a constant professional and is going to work on the things that he's going to do. And I think you put him right back in a playoff chase, uh, he'll get them there. I hope he doesn't get traded. I mean, I hope he doesn't get traded, but it probably is going to happen. So let's get to the UFC portion here of our show. I mean, we talked about it on our post show on London card, but in case you missed it, I always wrap up the nice little UFC weekend that was. Nice showing of Patty to Patty, Patty to Patty. He had a nice win, a rear naked choke over Jordan Levitt. It was a nice step up in the second round for Patty. Dana has now kind of come out and said, hey, we're gonna, his next spot will be against another tougher challenge on a bigger stage, pay-per-view. He's kind of come out and said that. Molly the Meatball had a nice win. Another lackluster injury main event again, man. 2 weekends in a row here, two fights that I was more excited for this fight because I'm a big Tom Aspinall fan. Curtis Blades is a stud. This was going to be a title eliminator type fight. 15 seconds in, Tom Aspinall kicks Curtis Blades, moves back. The knee buckles, and Tom Aspinall just immediately grabs his knee, falls to the ground, has to be stretchered out. 15 seconds into the fight, it's like a fight that never was. I mean, just sad scene there in London. Tom Aspinall's probably not going to fight again the rest of this year. You got to think. Curtis Blades he'll probably still get the winner of Tai Tuivasa and Surreal Gone in September. That fight will probably still happen. But I mean, Curtis Blades handled it like a professional. Said, "Hey, man, I felt like this fight never happened. I really wanted this fight. We'll still get that fight eventually. It's not like he's like, tough crap, He understands Tom Aspinall's going to be around. I think so as well. Eventually, we'll get that fight in because I just thought that fight would showcase how good Tom Aspinall is all well around. It was going to be a good fight. Unfortunately, we missed out on that one. Uh, Jack Hermanson went over Chris Curtis. He It'll be interesting to see he gets in the future. He's kind of that top five or so gatekeeper esque, but he had a nice just a clean 3-0 unanimous decision over Chris Curtis in the co-main. That pretty much wrapped up the main all the names of the UFC in London here. This weekend, again, we'll debut our new show on Saturday, Head Kicks and Haymakers. Kenny and Craig will be back. We'll be breaking down UFC 277. UFC 277 this weekend. Head Kicks and Haymakers. Be making its debut show right here on the BodkinShow. You can catch it right here on this channel. And then on Sunday, we'll do the post show. And then every Sunday, you'll catch Head Kicks and Haymakers about 7 a.m. Central Time in the morning. Drink some coffee, talk some UFC with me, Kenny, and Craig. Every Sunday morning, that'll happen right here on the Bodkins channel. That pretty much wraps it all up, I believe. Yeah. So check it out. Make sure again, folks, you like and subscribe, share, get the word out. We're also on Apple, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good jazz. Head over to Let's Talk Sports. Make sure you like and subscribe them. That we're always promoting them as well as they're promoting us, and we're pretty much best friends here. And then Sports Buffoons as well. They got a show coming out tonight where they're continuing to preview their division breakdown, bringing in different guys from all over. So again, check out them, like, subscribe as well. Big things coming. We got some big things coming here on the Bodkin Show as well. We're working on some things that we'll be unveiling as they get done and getting ready. So I'm excited. Again, appreciate y'all tuning in this Saturday. My mom always likes to say dates, so I don't even know what this Saturday is. I'm looking. This Saturday, the 30th, July 30th, our new show, Head Kicks and Haymakers, will premiere right here on the Bodkins channel at 7 a.m. Central Time Zone. So tune in. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good rest of the week. This has been another great episode of the Bodkins Show. Appreciate y'all.